What did we even use protractors for? Is it math?
Angles.
Science?
Maths, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, maths. What about science using Bunsen burners? Did you have Bunsen burners?
That was my favourite. I love science and stuff.
You were such a geek in science.
Yeah.
But Bunsen burners, what a best piece of...
Putting your hand through it.
Yeah,
You
everybody
thought
must
you
have
sucked
tried that at some point, putting the hand through the flame of a Bunsen burner.
Of course, and it had the rubber tube, didn't it, that goes onto the gas tank.
Yeah.
Now, tell me that your science teacher let you put magnesium in Bunsen burners. And it goes like a firework.
No.
So, you sprinkle a bit of magnesium and it used to go like a firework.
Wow.
We had a teacher that used helium to try and do an experiment, and the roof was very low, and those tiles, he burned it, almost took the whole lab up because it went too low, and he used helium, and the tiles went up as well, and the sheer fear on his face was at first funny, and then we all realised something was wrong, and all sorts of teachers coming in. But Bunsen burners, everybody just, no matter what the teacher said, don't do this, don't do that, and you went, no, I'm going to do that.
I hated science, to be fair, but I loved the experiments that we did.
Yeah.
Science, photosynthesis, that's the only other thing other than the Bunsen burner I remember.
That's from first year, isn't it?
Photosynthesis is about plants, isn't it?
Yeah.
Retaining energy or something like that.
Yeah.
But what did we have to do? Did we have to do a method, a conclusion, and all sorts of...
I don't know. I just remember being bored.
Yeah. and all classes, the chalkboard. We used to have a blackboard.
Lucy will not know what a chalkboard. She had whiteboards.
Chalkboards.
Yeah, we did.
Oh
Do you know, more so in primary school, so going back there, but if we got a question wrong in our times table...
Did you have canes too?
No, I'm not that bloody old. But if we used to have this quiz game where you do your times table forwards, so you'd say it from 1 times 8 is whatever, and then so on, and then you go backwards, 12 times 8 is, and then inside out and like that. And if you got one wrong, you were dead basically and had to go and sit on the carpet. But also the teacher would throw the board duster at you. So literally throw the board duster at your head.
Well, that was different.
A board duster, Lucy, is what
now.
Wipes out the chalk.
But we had different chalkboards, so you would have the fixed one on the wall when you're at primary school, but when you're second, the roller one.
Yeah.
And so the teacher could pull it down, and there'd be another. And it's like, wow. And I can't believe that anyone could go to school now and not have a chalkboard.
No, if you were naughty at our school, they would make you go up and write that lesson out on the chalkboard. So that was.
But we used to use the chalkboard marker, use a load of chalk, and then hit it on the back of someone's blazer.
Yeah.
That was sitting there, and then when they walk around all day, it's just full of chalk. Yeah, absolute proper wrong-uns. What about school fights on a field?
They were the best.
Yeah, I'll meet you at 3:30, and then everyone would crowd around going fight.
My friend in year 7, first year, she got in her first fight.
Really?
And
A
there's
girl?
2 girls. Yeah. Do you remember Neve?
Yeah,
But she played rugby too, so she was like...
a bit of a hard one.
Yeah, and obviously I was like very timid back then. And just watching my friend fight and the whole school just gathered round on the backfield.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And when the teacher come down, everybody dispersed.
Scattered.
Yeah.
And these two people,
Peg it.
the 2 people that fight, it would never live up to expectation. It was the worst fight ever, but they'd have like their tie all over the place, and they'd get in trouble, and you just got to run away. And
I have to say, I was never involved in one, so thankfully.
did you have different school fights? So your school would fight something, yeah.
My school was right next to another school, so if there was any fights, that was the same. We'd meet someone from X school and at such a time. But the same with snow days. So if it was snowing, we shared the same all-weather pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have snowball fights against each school. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And there's always a unique thing about your own school, and you felt proud, but you would moan about your school. But when it was a fight against another one, you'd come together and do something. What about register? I know it might sound the most boring and whatever, but every morning you had a register, and we had to take the register to the admin office or whatever, so someone used to have to do it. And I remember when I was doing it, because I was a bit of a goody two-shoes, so the teacher would trust me to get it there on time and come back. But I remember this lad, I won't say his full name just in case, but he's Stephen, his surname began with an M. He was off school, and you remember the sick note you have to send in, and it was on the register, and he had a twisted testicle. And I remember reading this note going, as an adolescent, 13-year-old boy going, what is this? And I mean, even now it gives you you cross your legs. And I'm thinking, Jesus, lad, I didn't know. But in the register.
Some flowers.
Flowers?
Poor fella.
I'm not religious, but we wanted to pray for him. But remember, just, yes, sir, yes, miss. It's the most boring thing, but it happened and there was the line up, line down, and if you weren't there, it was a circle.
Ours was like a cross, yeah.
No, ours was a sort of a
diagonal line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you weren't there, it was a circle, and it was
right, okay.
and they were so neat. Teachers' handwriting's horrible, but the register was fine. It was the only thing that they ever did. It was. Do you remember teachers' handwriting?
I bet Lucy didn't make it to the register a lot. She was always late.
Yeah.
Did you say sorry a lot, Lou?
No.
So I'm like.
They kind of just expected it anyway.
Register, and then first play or first break was always good. Secondary school, dinner time.
What did you used to call it? Play at high school?
No, it was break time.
Yeah, break time.
That was when British Bulldog become proper rough. I mean,
we didn't play Bulldog at high school.
Oh, we did, and it was
did
horrible.
You?
Oh, we used to come in with proper bruises, cuts. It was evil. We had this big grass bank, and we used to play out there, and all the blazers would go off. Nobody knew where their blazer was, and you'd finish with grass stains everywhere, and everybody walk into the next class sweaty. You imagine 13, 14-year-old boys sweating in the class with bruises. Oh, that was vile.
In the summer too.
See, your school is so different to mine then, because our break times at high school was literally walking around trying to act a little bit cool, you know. If anyone was playing Bulldog, it's like, no.
I went to an all-boys school, so everything was macho. It was very, it was quite violent at times. Even football was quite violent. I've got to be honest with you.
A lot of testosterone.
Yeah.
There was a lot of testosterone, yeah. I feel sorry for the teachers, because after a break time, everyone's pumped to me. Like, you go in, what was it?
Trying to calm down.
It was
They changed our timetable, so we'd have one lesson before we went home, because after dinner everyone was crazy and weren't listening, so
yeah.
they shortened the end of the day, made the mornings really long.
Did they?
It was evil, but
Evil.
we had a game too, which was a bit. You think back and you think, why did we do that? So we got a rubber, and it's who could rub the back of the hand. Did you used to do that too?
Yeah.
All the boys would have massive scars on their hand, and it was on slaps
Was
Oh.
that with cards or
with what?
with your hands?
Oh yeah. On your knuckles, you could do your knuckles.
Yeah.
We had a game called Death Ball, and it is. So we had this little concrete part of the playground, if you like. It had a few walls, and there was one ball, and you kicked it. If it went out, it was a punch to the arm. If you kicked it and it was caught, it was a punch, and if it hit you above the knee, it was a punch. If you got 3 punches, you had to go through what was called the death tunnel. And the death tunnel, everybody lined up, and you had to start and run through, and everybody's punching and kicking you.
That's so harsh.
It was brutal, and I felt so bad for the lad that would get it. If it was just the punch, the first one, I'd just tap him. I would never give. But everybody else would just belt you.
Yeah.
And if you just had your BCG jab, TB jab.
TB jab, yeah.
Oh.
So you have your injection, and then everyone's going around punching your arm. You're scarred for life.
Or if it's your birthday.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
And they said, "What
bumps."
What arm have you had your TB jab?" I just say my right, and everybody put it was in my left. And it was,
So you get 2 dead arms.
yeah, just stupid. But what about your books? So we used to cover our books when we were at school.
Back your books.
Back your
Back
books.
your book.
Yeah. We used things like wallpaper and all sorts of weird.
I
wacky
used to back my books in posters from Just 17 magazine.
You will not know.
Guaranteed, I would buy that magazine all of the time, and it would always be New Kids on the Block or Take That.
Lucy's looking going, who?
Who are you actually talking about?
What did you back your books with, Lou?
You should have just like wrapping paper and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I had a Smarty one. I don't know where that comes from though.
But some people really didn't make much effort. It's like a bit of cling film on a book. But it was always
Film.
But
Protecting it.
yeah. Now I used to so I'd always put all my books in the bag. Boys were different to girls, so instead of taking what books I needed on what day, I just put everything in so I didn't forget. And I remember I thought I was being clever and healthy. So Lou, you won't remember this, but we used to get Lucasade in a glass bottle.
Yes.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
And you always had Lucasade when you were poorly.
When you're poorly at home, you had Lucasade. But this Lucasade was a bit fizzy, wasn't it? It weren't like the Lucasade Sport you would know. And I loved Lucasade, but it was expensive, wasn't it, back in the day?
Yeah.
It was the most expensive drink ever.
It's a glass bottle, and then it had like a cling filmy,
Brownie.
plasticky.
That was the big one, but I had the small bottle, I remember, and I filled it with milk on this one day, thinking I'm going to take a bottle of milk to school, right? And it was a hot summer's day, and I'm taking milk in my bag. I had to get a bus to school, blah, 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 and this milk leaked in my bag, and all my books stunk of stomach, right? But they were backed, and I couldn't get the smell. I changed my bag. I had a nice Adidas bag back in the day, but it was vile. And for the rest of the school year, I had to go to school with these smelling books. Can you imagine sitting next to someone with books smell of milk? Wrong. Nah, so I had to take the detention to say I've lost my school books. It weren't that good. Your actual school books were fine, but you know, like the Romeo and Juliet, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to pay for them.
Did you ever get lines at school?
Yeah.
So instead of detention, you had to do like, Lucy, do you know what lines are?
My dad's told me before. He said he stuck pencils together, so he didn't.
Yeah.
I will not do.
I will not forget my homework again, and you had to write it out something like 1,000 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, it was so harsh. Like.
Yeah, we got taught.
We just got a slap on the wrist and off your pot.
Yeah, not physically a slap on the wrist.
No.
Like we did.
But did you ever get detention?
A few times, Rob. Yes.
I can imagine. See, I only got a class detention. I was a goody two shoes, but I used to look at the teacher thinking, "You don't want to be any more than we do. Like, why do you give detentions out? Because it just adds your day.
Yeah.
Like, why not just really? Because we went to an all-boys school. I went to an all-boys school. The worst thing you could do to a boy at school was embarrass him. So I just think, why didn't teachers embarrass boys more? And then they would behave. I promise you. You went to a mixed school, didn't you?
I did go to a mixed school, yeah, and I had a few detentions, but more so about, like I mentioned earlier, about wearing the wrong things or, trying to wear jewellery and makeup, etc. for school, but I would never dare be cheeky to my teachers or anything like that.
Do you know at my school now,
Yeah.
obviously not my school, but my previous school, they have a badge at the top of the skirt, so if that's not showing, and obviously you've rolled it, then obviously you get detention. So you have to have, say, a line showing on your tie. It has to be a certain size. Same with the skirt. So it's like, you can't really
roll your
get away
skirts up
with
and
it.
have it short.
I would not like that right now. Like,
No.
But don't you think that kids, right, so become the best criminals and entrepreneurs because all the rules were there. We worked a way around to break them.
Try and break
Yeah.
them.
It was
yeah.
just anything to break the rules was what we wanted, wasn't it? And I was a bit boring at school. I was a goody two shoes because I was scared of getting in trouble or whatever. But the odd time, I used to be a bit the class clown and try to make people laugh and blah blah blah. But when it got but when it got too much, the teacher sort of shouted, "I'd shut up."
You push it and push it.
And then you always get that idiot, and you think, "Oh no, he's going to get us in detention, or we'll miss a break because of you." You weirdo.
Was that you?
Well, speaking of class clowns, so Lucy used to get grade A in maths. However, this one time I got a call from her teacher and she decided to go on all fours and climb to the front in the middle of an exam. I think it was year 8, something like that, climbed to the front of the class on all fours, making everybody laugh in the middle of an exam.